I often come down to the river to clear my head, particularly if I'm stuck somewhere in the story, in the plot. It's a great place to come and walk. Pretty much every character I've written has been partially created walking along the river here. I wanted somewhere to get out of the house and feel I was going to work, so I decided to build my little writer's cabin, handmade piece by piece. It took all summer, but it's nice to have somewhere to go to and feel I'm at work. I started writing really when I was about 16. I started out interested in computing, home computers. I used to write software. I wrote an adventure game and I sent it into a magazine, a computer adventure magazine. And rather than featuring the software, they said, would you do a piece on how you wrote it? So I had a 5-page feature. I began writing full-time when I was made redundant from my career in telecoms, and I set out to continue that career. No aspirations to make it as a full-time writer at all at the time, even though I'd written pretty much my whole life. And my wife came home from work one day and I'd spent the whole day plotting a novel that I had in mind. This idea just wouldn't go away, and I spent the whole day sitting writing this outline for a story. And the enthusiasm I showed when my wife came home from work was pretty great. And she basically said, well, why don't you have a go then? And it really began from that. I came down to London with my wife to photograph the statue outside St Paul's Cathedral of Queen Anne for the cover for my third book. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you if it wasn't for my wife's support. She is a big part of the books too, because she helps with the plotting. She's my first reader. She's very critical and honest. She's a key part of the process. I read a book by Stephen King called On Writing, and one of his pieces of advice is to put your desk in a corner of the room without windows, so you have no distraction. And I didn't like the idea of shutting myself in the corner somewhere, so I put my hat on and I pull the sides down, and it's literally just to shut out peripheral vision. It's become a habit. I kind of suppose I wear it a bit superstitiously now because it's worked out. I'm self-taught as a writer. I've had no actual education in writing. I have no degrees in writing. Nothing on paper to say I can actually write. So I analyse a lot of other writers to see what worked about their story, and I learn from that. I really like to look at people and their stories first and foremost. I've always been intrigued by my maternal grandfather. I don't know him. He's an American GI who married my grandmother during the war. I had 2 children, so very little has ever been known about my grandfather, which intrigued me. And from there, I developed a character idea, something I thought would be unusual and interesting, the idea of bringing family history into crime fiction. I set out to find a traditional publisher, the traditional way. It took me about a year to write my first book, and I'd had interest from an agent. But another year passed, and I'd started writing another book thinking it was all going to happen. And then another year passed where the publishers that it had been sent to all rejected it for one reason or another, often citing the economic climate. I kept getting good feedback. My first rejection letters I got were very good rejection letters. They were handwritten rejection letters, which I'd read, you just don't get. And so it kept me going. I believed I was writing good books. And people were telling me this was good, but there's always a but at the end, and it didn't happen for me. But I just wanted to be read at that point in time. And after 5 years of getting so close, but not close enough, it seems, I was losing confidence in that system, basically. So I decided to try and self-publish with KDP and never looked back. It's been fantastic. It was an excellent process, very easy to set up and get a book out there and to be read, which is what every author wants to do. The feedback straight away was very good. I got that one first sale to someone I didn't know, which is an awesome experience. And sales started going up, the charts just started going up, and I think it sort of really took off from there. I had some great feedback, which has kind of stuck with me, is that if ever you want to fall in love with reading again, this book will do it. I can't imagine a better response to your book than that. As an author, KDP certainly saved me. Having found some success with sales of my first 3 books through KDP as a self-published author, I was approached by Amazon Publishing, which ended with our 4-book deal, and my books were published with Thomas & Mercer, the mystery and thriller imprint. I feel now that I do have a career as a writer. They keep me involved in the process, which is great. That's one of the things I really like about Amazon Publishing, is that I still feel like it's my project. I can't imagine a better way of doing it because of the involvement that I still have, which I've become used to through self-publishing. Thankfully now I don't have to try and sell each book at a time to somebody. It took me 8 years to become a successful author overnight.